Testing.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
You know when you haven't washed your hair for a while and then you
Yeah.
wash your hair?
Yeah.
And you're like, cleanest lady in town. I feel incredible right now.
You're feeling great. Feeling like a superhero.
Okay.
See how that sounded.
Okay.
Hi, Charlotte.
Madeline, hello.
We're back.
Yes, we are.
Woohoo. Do you like that?
Woohoo.
Hello there.
Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. We welcome to the show. We have a really great interview for you today. Fred Katz, senior writer for the Athletic, writing NBA senior writer.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, you got
senior
there.
NBA reporter. Fred, he's great.
You got there in the end.
He's our buddy. He listens to the show, which was so. I'm always very moved when someone we ask them to come on the show, and then they're like, "Yeah, I listen."
I know, it's so lovely.
I'm like, you give us your time. We take up 2 hours of your time every week.
Crazy.
That's so generous.
Yes.
Fred was great. We have an amazing NBA season preview in the form of gossip for you.
Yep.
Topics covered include a player who likes breast milk, a guy who once ate 20 fish heads.
Yeah. We did mention a baseball player urinating
on his cousin's carpet. Yeah, I mean, like we
really covered all the bases, no pun intended, for a basketball preview.
For a basketball preview, we really hit it out of the park. Fred was phenomenal, so we're going to make him come on. Also, a little bit of housekeeping. We recorded this interview last week, and we're recording this also last week.
Yeah. Ooh.
Right
crazy.
now?
Yes.
So you're listening. We're in the future.
We're in the future. Hello, future me.
Yeah. So we'll have. We also have an amazing interview coming on Thursday.
Oh, so good.
With Angie Pump Sullivan of the I've Had It podcast.
Yeah.
Which we're very excited about. So we've got 2 interview shows for you today, and then we will be back next week with the rundown show you've all come to know and love.
Bow, bow, bow.
And without further ado, Fred Katz.
Fred Katz, baby.
This has been a long time coming, this interview we're about to do. Thrilled to welcome Fred Katz, senior NBA writer for The Athletic, the host of Katz and Shoot podcast on Patreon. Very clever. And maybe someone who loves gossip almost as much as we do. Fred, welcome to the show.
Look, I have actually told players before that being a reporter is just basically being a socially acceptable stalker. So like that's the way. That's, you know, what is the difference between all of this anyway? Gossip is just basically, you know, slightly unprofessional, maybe unethical in certain ways reporting. But it's all the same.
It's the exchange of information, Fred. It's not unethical.
Yeah,
it actually helps people build community.
100%. I used to spread rumors about my best friends in high school all the time. That was just reporting.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's good for you.
You're a nightmare.
It's good for you.
Builds character.
Fred, you and I have texted a lot about NBA gossip in the past. So Madeline and I thought, well, who better to have on for our NBA season?
Can I just say, I love the show. I'm so excited to come on this show. I love this show. Fred. It's a great show. You guys are awesome.
That's so nice.
I'm so excited to be on this show right now. I feel so weird because Charlotte, I know you and Madeline, like I every time you talk, I'm like I feel so passive. I forget that I'm supposed to respond. I'm so used to
and now you're on the
just
show
being in my ears. Yeah,
now
exactly.
you'll be on the show hearing both
out.
of our voices and your own voice while listening to your own voice in your head. So it's a bit of a mind loop.
That's going to be crazy. No, thank you for saying that, Fred. I'll Venmo you the $20 we agreed on after this. No, but seriously, thank you so much. Last year, actually, a lot of our NBA, I guess it was semifinals gossip came from your article about the Knicks. So I think that's a great place to start because it was during the season, during the playoffs where things seemed that they were falling apart for no reason on the court. And I actually texted you. I was like, hey, like, do the Knicks like each other? Like, what's going on in the locker room that we don't know about? And you were like, wait, What? How do you know I'm working on a story? So where do we stand now? Like, where were we then for people who don't know? And where are we now with the New York Knicks?
Well, I do want to be clear. Like, with the Knicks stuff last year, the stuff they dealt with, it was all like basketball type stuff. Like, I've covered teams where the locker room was completely and utterly frayed, and it wasn't basketball stuff. Like, I covered the 2018-19 Wizards, who went 32-50, and I know especially Madeline. Like, Madeline's got an encyclopedic knowledge of that team. Like,
oh yes,
I'm sure she could just reel off Thomas Satoransky's field goal percentage from that year.
Well, of course, he's my favorite player.
Well, naturally, but like, that team was ridiculous. They were all talking about each other's behind their backs and infighting, and there was one practice where like Jeff Green threw a ball at Austin Rivers, and like John Wall got fined for cursing out his head coach Scott Brooks, and it was just, the whole team was kind of just falling apart at the seams. And it wasn't basketball stuff. It was just a group of guys who genuinely didn't like each other. And I think with this, and to be clear, like, it wasn't even that they were like bad guys on that team. They just didn't like each other. And with last year's Knicks, what was notable about it to me, and the reason why I wrote the story that I wrote, is because you look at the 7 guys who they had in their rotation during the playoffs last year. All 7 are back on this team. I wouldn't characterize any of those 7 guys as bad or selfish teammates. I wouldn't characterize any of those guys as unprofessional in any way. I mean, there are a lot of big personalities on that team, but I wouldn't characterize anybody as not prioritizing winning, not prioritizing the team, anything like that. A lot of the issues they had kind of stemmed from the basketball. It was stemming from, I have to play this new role and it's not comfortable and I don't know how to do it and it's a little frustrating. Or this person's playing this new role and he's not doing it to perfection. And so it's frustrating me on my end. And it was very basketball oriented. And I think what they'll be this year is they're going to be a really interesting test case in, like, there are some teams where they get along amazingly one year and then it's just like the same group the next year and they just don't, for whatever reason. Something happens. And there are other teams where the opposite happens, where you're like, no, now they've been together for a year and the issues they had were they stemmed from basketball issues. That's really what it came down to. They stemmed from basketball issues. And maybe after a year of them being together, those become more cohesive and those just kind of go by the wayside. And from what I've heard early, I've spoken to some people there early, and it's like they have in training camp right now this very committed sort of mentality and this very, we're showing up, we feel like we should win the whole damn thing mentality. And it's something I'm really interested in following throughout the course of this year, because there are a lot of a lot of interesting personalities on that team, and we could run through them. There are a lot of interesting personalities on that team.
Yeah, for people who might not, what's the who are the characters?
If we're talking pure character, I mean, I think Josh Hart or Mitchell Robinson have got to be the two. So, like, Josh Hart was the starter for most of last year. A total goofball. He is kind of what a 7-year-old imagines a famous person would be.
Wait, explain.
Yeah.
Okay, so like when you're 7 years old, you're going to be like, oh, when I'm famous, I'm going to have all these endorsements. And it's going to be Legos. And I'm going to endorse Legos. And I'm also going to endorse candy. And I'm also, all the things you love. And you look at Josh Hart, and all the endorsement deals he has are the endorsement deals that he would want when he was 7 years old. And he only does them because he's genuinely obsessed with them. For example, Mike and Ike's. He is addicted to Mike and Ike's. He is obsessed with Mike and Ike's to such an unhealthy degree, to the point that I pray for his dentist. Lord knows how many root canals that guy has had to deal with. He is obsessed with Mike and Ike's. He eats a family-sized box of Mike and Ike's before every game.
No.
What?
Yeah. Yep. He has a pantry in his kitchen at home which is just a Mike and Ike's pantry. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, this has got to be, maybe the size of a small little wine fridge or something like that. This is a mini cooler size pantry. No, it's a pantry. It's a pantry. It's a 3-level pantry, and it's literally only Mike and Ike's. So many Mike and Ike's in there. And he goes through one or two or more of those boxes every day, and he's eaten them like that since he was a kid. And he's so obsessed with Mike and Ike's that Mike and Ike's just reached out to him and was like, you want to be like the face of Mike and Ike's? And he was like, you kidding me? It's my favorite candy since I was a kid. So now his face is on a box of Mike and Ike's, and he's the spokesperson for Mike and Ike's. He loves breast milk and is very public about his love for breast milk, which is also, that's even younger than 7. I would hope younger than 7.
Wait. Sorry. In what way? And how did
I
this
told
come
you
out?
he was a character.
How did this become information that people know and now our listeners know?
Did you say, how did this come out? Is that what you said?
Yeah. How did
Because the answer is you latch. That's how it came out.
No, stop it, Fred.
Oh,
my God. You're in timeout. You're in timeout.
No, how'd this come out? Because as one would do if they were a child imagining a really famous person, he just tweeted out one day that he tried his wife's breast milk and it wasn't that bad. And then when it got a huge reaction, which clearly, he wanted the reaction. He loves the reaction.
Obviously.
Right.
He just leaned into it and became the breast milk guy. And now some ice cream is releasing a breast milk flavored ice cream. It's not made with breast milk, which seems like a missed opportunity.
I'm sorry.
It's breast milk flavored. Yeah, there's a real thing. I can't remember the name of the brand. I won't do their advertising for them because I don't know if I support this or not. But they are releasing, a breast milk flavored ice cream. And who's the spokesperson for the breast milk flavored ice cream? None other than Josh Hart, who is putting out Instagram ads being like, yum, breast milk. He's a fascinating human being,
Honestly,
fascinating creature.
We could end this show right here, and it would be it would be the most fascinating show we've ever done, Fred.
Oh, I can reel off to the Josh Hart stories to no end. The breast milk is unbelievable. Mitchell Robinson too is just such a unbelievable character in there as well. One time he just has one-off comments and then runs away basically. He's very difficult to hold his attention. Mitchell Robinson, he's the starting center for the team. It's very difficult to hold his attention, but if you do, it'll last for 30 seconds. So he I don't know, one time Stephen Bondy, who's a reporter for the New York Post and covers the Knicks, does an awesome job for the Post, went up to him and asked him for a one-on-one, and Mitch said, no, I gotta go post on my OnlyFans, and he ran away.
What?
Yeah,
it's really good.
He doesn't say goodbye in normal ways. He won't just say bye to people.
What does he say?
Do it. He's from Louisiana, and he's got this southern twang to him, and he's got kind of he's 7 feet, but he's got kind of a high voice. And so sometimes he'll go into a falsetto and he'll just say toodles as he goes away. And sometimes he'll do the big little rascals one with just swinging your arms side to side. He calls people bucko a lot. See ya, bucko.
So do I.
Something in common.
You could play center for the Knicks.
This is shocking information. This is wild. I wonder if I'm curious for these Knicks, because it sounds like a cast of characters that maybe that's why, there are problems you mentioned. It's basketball related issues, not necessarily personnel issues between them. That I wonder if during training camp they do what I feel like a lot of college kids do, which is go to a camp before you start school. Do you know what I'm talking about? I did this. This is maybe only a University of Georgia thing. And
no.
It's like a time where you have this intense bonding, and it's people from all different backgrounds, all different walks of life, different types of schooling, and they all come together in this period to prepare to then go to college, in this case, go play professional basketball. Do you feel like for the Knicks, their training camp is just this time where these different cast of characters with this wide range of interests are able to come together, and that's why they don't have maybe as many personnel issues, and it's really just like a basketball problem? It's like they just have an incredible training camp experience.
Here's what I'll say. Here's why I don't think that's the case. So, like, Karl Anthony Towns is like 7 feet. How much Karl Anthony Towns weigh? 270? 280? Sure. 7 feet tall. He's massive. If you're Karl Anthony Towns, would you ever, no matter how much you genuinely trusted the people around you, would you ever actually do a trust fall?
No.
You would never do it. You wouldn't.
No.
You wouldn't trust people to catch you. You're too big.
Yeah.
So I don't think a basketball, an NBA team can do those bonding exercises. They're all catered to small people.
Hey, I'm not small. I'm 6 feet tall.
Yeah,
I did.
It's that famous Andrew Ross Sorkin book, Too Big to Bond.
Too big to bond. Too big to play. Wow. Okay. Well, so do you think? Here's my question, Fred. Do you think all NBA teams are, to a certain extent, made up of characters like this, or do you think the Knicks are a particular example? Like, is there another team you can think of who have this wide range of cinematic, like this is a buddy comedy, right? Like, are there other teams that feel that way, and then teams that don't?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there are a lot of personalities in the league. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of personalities in the league. I mean, I remember when I covered Steven Adams when I was in Oklahoma City, and Steven will just say anything. And look, part of my job is like, you know, I covered the Knicks for a long time, so I have a more intimate understanding of how they operate, and I know the people there better and all that kind of stuff, so I have more stories to tell. But, you know, I covered the Thunder. That was my first beat job, and Steven Adams was the starting center for them, and Steven's this big, brute guy from New Zealand, and he looks like Jason Momoa, and he's the strongest guy in the league, and people who don't know him are so unbelievably intimidated by him. And people who do know him are so horribly unintimidated by him. And, you know, like when I covered Steven, it was just like, there was just a new story of chicanery every single day of something. You know, it was just like Steven, the team would be out to dinner, and Steven notoriously eats more than any player in the NBA. So he'll get like 2 appetizers and 2 main courses. And
hell yeah.
So they're out to dinner, and Steven, this is a true story. Steven orders, you know, his 2 appetizers, and he orders 2 whole fish for his main course. And they bring out the fish, but the heads are cut off. And so this story was told to me by Josh Hart, who's a former Thunder player who was on this team. And you know, he notices the heads are cut off, and he wants some heads. He wants some eyes specifically. He likes eating the eyes. Okay. So he says to them, like, you guys cut off, I ordered the whole fish, you guys cut it off. Would you be able to bring out a whole fish instead? And they were like, oh no, we cut off the heads. And Steven says, does that mean you just have like a whole bunch of fish heads sitting around the kitchen? And he was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, can you just grill those all up for me and just bring all of your fish heads out for me at once? So on top of these 2 whole fish he had, he then turned over to this platter of like it was described to me as like 20 fish heads. And he just sat there poking out the eyes of all the fish that he was eating and just popping fish eyes over and over again for the meal.
Oh my God. This episode really has everything.
No, this is incredible. Here's two things. One, Steven Adams once told me that I should try stand-up.
Wow, that's a compliment. He's very funny.
He's very funny. I don't know that it was necessarily because I made him laugh. I think it's because I described myself as an internet clown. And he was like, well, then why don't you do stand-up? And I was like, because that's terrifying. And then the second thing I'll say is that it's a very sustainable move. You know, there's a whole movement, like eat the parts of the... I'll eat a fish head. I'll be honest. You know, like good for Steven Adams.
Will you eat 20?
No. I won't eat 20 of anything unless it's like Cheetos.
Or rice.
Oh, rice, sure.
I'll eat 20 of a lot of things, I guess. Actually.
Yeah.
It's like
20
that, it's like that
servings.
Mitch Hedberg joke. Rice is
my
great when you're
God.
hungry and you want 2,000 of something.
True. My stepmom was on The
Price
Price is Right.
Was she?
Yeah, she was. She got picked. I don't think she won anything, but she was picked. Yes, fun fact.
That's incredible.
Speaking of personalities, we need to talk about LeBron. LeBron, as of right now, is not retiring. He's entering his 23rd year in the NBA. What is your thoughts around retirement conversation with LeBron? Do you think he is going to retire, or do you think he's really just going to play until the end of time?
I am prone to thinking he's going to play until the end of time.
Wow. Okay.
Just because he's on a pace to. Like,
Yep.
he's on a pace to play till the end of time. At some point, he'll retire, I guess. I'm going to continue to predict that he's not going to retire, and then I'll be right every time and wrong one time. He just hasn't really shown any indications of slowing down in any meaningful way. And more importantly, like, okay, so Malcolm Brogdon, who's a backup point guard for the Knicks, literally just retired like 5 minutes before we started this podcast, right? And Brogdon just announces totally unexpectedly that he's retiring, and it's, you know, a week before the season starts. It's a few weeks into training camp. He had signed a non-guaranteed contract with the Knicks, and Malcolm Brogdon had a really good career. He was a Sixth Man of the Year. He averaged 20 points some years, but he had a lot of injuries. And what ends up happening is exactly what happened with Brogdon, which is the reason most guys, when they retire on their own, the reason that most guys retire is not because they can't do it. It's not because they can't play the games anymore. Mm-hmm. It's because they can't do all the other stuff anymore. And I think, like with Brogdon, I was just talking to somebody about this before we came on. Like with Brogdon, he had so much time after games where it was just icing and, you know, whatever, all, you know, stretches and all the other stuff he has to do just to recover after games. And then he's got to do all the stuff before to wind up. Whereas early in your career, you could just kind of show up and take the court and play. And eventually, at some point, having to show up to the arena 3 hours early and leave the arena 3 hours after the final buzzer becomes just so exhausting, and you just eventually just say, I can't deal with all of this extra stuff anymore. I don't want to do that anymore just to play one game for 15, 30, 40 minutes, whatever.
Yeah.
LeBron notoriously has an insane routine on his body, taking care of his body in terms of diet, in terms of workout, in terms of the way that he treats his body every single day, whether it's in season or out of season. And I just haven't heard any indication of that kind of stuff changing. I also think LeBron, because he's always been like that, is sort of uniquely prepared to sustain that later career stuff, where it's like, you know, okay, yeah, you do have to take a gazillion years after every game to recover, but he's always kind of done that stuff in a way more meticulous way than the average player or even the average great player ever did. So I just feel like he's going to come out with a lot of Hennessy ads and
Those ads.
convince us he's that Hennessy ad.
I mean, honestly though, Fred, so you bring up something that I think we often think about here on the Sports Gossip Show, where, you know, we joke about how sports teams are companies, and we don't really joke about it because it's true. But, when a player gets traded last minute, when Luka gets traded in the middle of the night from the Mavericks to the Lakers last year, we were like, oh God, moving sucks. Like there's a real human element to players' lives that I think a lot of people might be shocked to find out actually end up playing a role in whether they keep playing or not, or their tolerance for being in a hotel room every other day. And it's interesting that you said Brogdon is such a good example of that, and then you have someone like LeBron who's built. It's almost like every once in a while someone like this comes along, and it's the perfect match of talent and like mental stamina to keep doing this.
100%. 100%. I think it was JJ Redick who said, like, in order to play late, you have to love the grind as much as you love the game.
Totally. Yeah. LeBron definitely loves the grind. We always say, LeBron is the ultimate company man. He lives and breathes being a professional basketball player. So it's like he drinks the Kool-Aid because he loves it and loves his job. Whereas
no, he drinks the Hennessy VSOP.
Yeah, there you go.
Excuse me. But I feel like he's the ultimate company man. So it's like, yeah, of course he's used to the routine because he's like, I'll put in the work because I love my job and I enjoy what I do. So I'm used to it and it's fine.
JJ Redick, also the head coach of the Lakers, for anyone who doesn't know, he said something. So we talked about this on a couple shows ago. Also, we're recording this a few days before this comes out. So if anything else has happened since we talked, sorry. We'll talk about it later. But when LeBron did the, quote, second decision, and then it turned out that this Instagram reel was just an ad for Hennessy, Madeline and I, we went on Instagram Live. We were like, oh my God, is it happening? Is he retiring? Year 23, number 23. Like, there are things that could make it make sense. And I saw someone asked JJ about it, about people who said, LeBron was going to retire when they saw the second decision. And JJ's comment was, you're all idiots. And I felt that in my soul. I was like, oh God, JJ's talking about us. And like, we got.
We got.
JJ can be so aggressive. Can I tell you the biggest sham of the whole LeBron Hennessy thing?
Please.
It's not that he got everybody to think that maybe he would retire or there'd be some huge announcement on something and then it ended up being an ad. That's not the biggest sham. The biggest sham is that, like, okay, what do we in terms of LeBron and alcohol? What's the most common thing that he promotes for himself? That he loves great wine. Yeah, talks about it all the time. Mm-hmm. Instagrams about it. Him and like his crew, like his crew of like NBA stars that he's super close with. Him, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Paul. Like those guys, they're like huge. What's the term? Onophile?
Venophiles?
Oh,
is it venophile?
No, I think onophile. I think you were right. It's not whatever I said.
It's something. They like.
I like venophile.
Venophile. That's
venophile.
a word now.
Yeah, they're venophiles.
Vino.
We'll say it now. And like, they're not drinking Franzia. They're drinking. They're getting they're not even drinking the top shelf stuff at your local liquor store. They're getting the greatest wine you can drink and really enjoying it. And I love that for them. That's awesome. So the fact that I'm supposed to believe that LeBron is drinking Hennessy VSOP, the lowest level of Hennessy, you're telling me that he's not going up to Hennessy XO, or God forbid Hennessy Paradis, which is like $1,200 a bottle. Like he's not going to Hennessy XO. Like he's just drinking VSOP. He's like, give me the $12,000 bottle of wine, and I'll take that with the $30 bottle of Hennessy.
It's really high low.
There's just no way.
No,
well,
there's just no way. I believe he drinks Hennessy.
Yeah, I know.
Hennessy's good. I don't believe he's drinking Hennessy VSOP.
You may be right about that.
Not a chance.
Yeah, that's probably true. But listen, they probably paid him a lot of money, so he'll say he drinks it. Okay, moving on to some other storylines in the NBA. Dallas Mavericks. We haven't really talked about Luka. Charlotte mentioned him for a second, but how do you feel like the Dallas Mavericks fare going into the season? Did Nico dodge bullet with trading Luka? How do you feel like the vibes are looking going into the season?
They're a really interesting team because, until Kyrie Irving comes back, they're very devoid of creation. Cooper Flagg, who was the #1 pick in the draft this year, is really, he's got more pressure on him than any rookie in the league, or maybe any young player in the league, just because with Kyrie Irving out, Kyrie is so magical with his ability to create for himself and for others, and now so much of that is going to fall on Cooper Flagg. They signed D'Angelo Russell, who's kind of a stopgap point guard for them. But Cooper Flagg is kind of the guy who's going to be running everything, and he is really young, and he is really skilled, and he is really talented, and we're going to see how that goes until Kyrie returns. Yes, they got thrown... They didn't even get thrown a life vest after trading Luka. Like, Cooper Flagg's not even a life vest. Like,
they got a new boat.
They didn't even get thrown a life boat. It was like
a yacht. They got a yacht. Fred.
Exactly. They got like Larry Ellison's yacht.
Yes.
They were like
Jeff
on
Bezos's
Jeff
yacht.
Bezos's yacht. And then they fell overboard and they were like, "Oh, I'll throw you Ellison's yacht." And that was
Yes.
and that was what they got. So like long term they're going to be fine. I have some concerns about their creation with Kyrie not there, and I have some concerns about their roster makeup because they're really, really big, which can be really good, and I think they'll be good defensively because they have a lot of size, a lot of defensive acumen, a lot of athleticism. But I don't think that their best players necessarily maximize their other best players. Like Anthony Davis is going to have to play a lot of power forward, which he likes to do, but I don't think he's at his best there. I think he's at his best at center. But they have Daniel Gafford, and they have Derek Lively, who's a couple of young centers, and Lively's a really young center with tremendous potential. Like, he's going to be really good. And so their roster is kind of a mishmash of a lot of big guys, and I'm really curious to see how their head coach, Jason Kidd, kind of goes through that and tries to make it work. I think they'll be competitive this year, but the Western Conference is a bloodbath.
Yeah.
And we'll see exactly what that looks like.
I'm just laughing because you have such range, Fred. Like you just went so like real basketball podcast.
You did. I was locked in.
Me too, and I was like, yeah, a lot of big.
I felt
guys,
like I'm
Daniel
like, ooh,
Gafford.
I host a real basketball podcast.
Yeah, for sure. And then I started thinking about how I was thinking about that, and then I started laughing. My favorite Fred thing is when you really wind up when you're about to tell a good story, and you go, well. So, and you're like, oh yeah,
He's cooking. He's about to cook.
He's good. Let Fred cook. No, it's true though. In terms of Cooper Flagg and being so young, and there's sort of the human element of that too, where it's like he should be a sophomore in college, freshman in college, even because he skipped a year. When I was that age, I was certainly not equipped to bear the weight of the future of a franchise. Someone else who started very young, Victor Wembanyama, playing professionally in France and then getting drafted by the Spurs. Something that we actually haven't talked about on the show yet was the wild offseason that Victor Wembanyama had, where he basically went on a spiritual journey because he was diagnosed, I believe, with deep vein thrombosis, which is like a really scary thing to have happen to you. And he said, I wrote this down so I don't mess it up. He played soccer in Costa Rica and Tokyo in this offseason. He spent 10 days at a spiritual retreat at a temple in China where he studied and trained with monks. He hosted a chess and basketball tournament in France. He visited NASA's Johnson Space Center where he learned about Peggy Whitson, who owns the American record for sending 675 days in space. He spent time with Uncut Gems star Kevin Garnett. Just kidding, Celtic great. I don't know that. Have you ever seen someone do this intentionally in an off season? Because it seems like he could be the greatest basketball player of all time immediately starting right now, given what he just did.
He's a very interesting guy.
He is.
He loves you know what I like about Victor Wembanyama? as a writer, I love that he's what, 21, 22?
Yeah.
21. Yeah.
Somewhere like that.
Forget about 21-year-old basketball players. Just Gen Z in general. I'm gonna get. Hold on, let me just climb onto my old man horse. Hold on.
Yeah, come on over to millennial cul-de-sac over so the water's nice.
No one reads anymore. No one reads. No one reads. Victor Wembanyama. No, people don't read. People don't read.
Charlotte's like, I read.
I read.
Well,
the kids aren't reading. Okay.
You're just an internet clown, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if it counts.
True.
Callback,
But
folks.
the kids aren't reading. The kids aren't reading. Victor Wembanyama not only reads, he reads at weird moments when it's socially weird. Not socially weird. When it's physically weird to read. He'll read in weird positions to kill time. Even I'm a writer and I love to read, but I'll read when it's time for me to read. I'll read when I'm sitting down. Oh, yeah, 20 minutes, I'm going to read. Victor Wembanyama will be on the training table getting stretched before a game, and he'll just be on his back getting stretched, and he'll just be holding a book over his face reading. I'm like, that is an uncomfortable position to read.
Yeah. You don't think it's performative reading? When people go to a coffee shop and pretend like they're reading a book? You think it's real?
No
He's
way.
really reading.
No way. Harrison Barnes, who's a veteran on the Spurs, who the Spurs got last year. Part of the reason that the Spurs wanted Barnes was because he's been around the league for so long, and he's this extremely respected, well-liked teammate, and he's a very, very smart guy, Harrison Barnes. And Harrison Barnes also loves to read. But he more likes to read. He loves novels. He likes to read history, and Victor Wembanyama loves sci-fi. Harrison Barnes, not a huge sci-fi guy, but in order to kind of get on Victor's page, because Barnes is kind of one of the leaders of the locker room last year, he was like, we're going to start a book club. So he started a Spurs book club.
Oh my God!
And he was like, I'm going to pick a sci-fi book. And so he picked a sci-fi book to start. And now the Spurs book club, or at least by the end of the year, I think the Spurs book club was just Harrison Barnes and Victor Wembanyama. And
Stop.
But they would read sci-fi books and then talk about sci-fi books together.
Oh, I love that.
And Scott Sanderson, I think, is his favorite author, Wembanyama.
Okay.
Scott Sanderson, I think that's his name. I haven't read any of his books, but he's a sci-fi author, and Victor Wembanyama loves him. And
all that came up was a player for the Cubs, so might not be the right name, Fred, but I don't know.
Or maybe this player for the Cubs also writes sci-fi, which
maybe
got to do an episode about that, if true.
Yeah, truly.
Brandon Sanderson.
Okay, Brandon.
My baseball acumen slipped in there. Brandon Sanderson.
He
is a sci-fi writer. He is. There you go. Okay.
And he's Victor Wembanyama's favorite sci-fi writer. And Wembanyama's an interesting guy. Remember last year somebody asked him a question about, I don't remember what the question was about, but he started just explaining the concepts of dark matter.
Yes.
And he was totally scientifically accurate. And he's a very academic kind of guy. He's an interest. It's not that he's interesting, which he is, but he's interested, which is a good trait to have as a human being, to be an interested person.
You sound like you're about to give a TED talk.
I know. Okay, Dad. What?
I was like,
I told you I was getting on my high horse.
You're doing your little athletic TEDx talk. Okay, a little TEDx conference going on here. FredX. How did I not think of that immediately?
I once made a YouTube video. This is probably 10 years ago, where I called it my Fred talk, and it was just gibberish TED talk. So maybe we'll bring that back for you, Fred.
Well, come on, say some absolute nonsense. Will make sense. Sorry for ruining your podcast, by the way. You guys have such a great.
You've elevated.
You guys have such a great show.
No,
You're just coming on, destroying the whole thing.
Yeah, it's really rude of you to give us so many interesting stories in our time together. No, are you kidding me? This is amazing. I mean, I'm like, instead of teeing you up for another, we have a list of things here, but Madeline, I feel like we should just ask Fred, like, what else do you want to cook on right now before we end by asking
the floor
you
is yours.
Sport? Yeah, just what is interesting to you right now, or what's a fun piece of NBA gossip that you're looking at going into the season?
It's a fun piece of NBA gossip that I'm like, wow. A fun piece of NBA gossip. Let me think.
I mean, I know you have a lot. Maybe you can't say all of it on this show.
I definitely can't say everything on this show because I am a reporter, and this
is fair. Fine.
I do for some reason. People seem to respect me.
Yes.
Respect me, and
it's shocking, but they do.
I do value integrity.
Okay.
I will say from just like a gossip standpoint, the stuff that is being discussed the most in the league amongst just like everybody is the story that your guy Pablo came out with.
Yes.
On Kawhi Leonard. And that is the thing that everyone is talking about. Just everybody.
Yes. We were going to bring this up. For people who aren't familiar, I don't know if we've touched on this because it's been developing so quickly and it felt like business in a way that I was like, do we understand this? I don't know. What is the latest and like what have those ripple effects been across the league?
I mean, For those who don't know, essentially the NBA has a salary cap, which is a system in which players are only allowed to be paid a certain amount, and total payroll can only be a certain amount, and it's there to maintain competitive balance. So you don't have a team from a huge market paying $900 million for a team, and a team from a small market paying $40 million for a team, and you have that massive talent discrepancy, and so you have this salary cap, and the information from Pablo suggests that the Clippers may have been funneling money to Kawhi Leonard through another company called Aspiration, which was a fraudulent company for reasons beyond just this. That's what the NBA is investigating right now. Did the Clippers give this money to this company Aspiration in order, with the express purpose of it going straight to Kawhi Leonard, who had a no-show endorsement deal with that company? The reason the league is on fire about it is because if it proves to be true, and if there is hard evidence of like, yes, the Clippers gave this money to Aspiration with the express purpose of them giving it to Kawhi Leonard so that he would sign with them, it invalidates every single thing that a salary cap is supposed to be.
Right. Yeah.
The salary cap is there for competitive balance. Why have a system if guys are just going to go around it? So I think the thing that people are talking about as this evidence is mounting, and there's no, for lack of a better term, there's no smoking gun.
Right.
Like there's not an email that we know of, at least. There's not an email in the public that says in writing, this is why we're doing this and this is what we're doing it for. It's a lot of stuff that's circumstantial, but it's a lot. And what people in the league are saying is this may not be a lot to hold up enough to hold up in a court of law, but it's enough to convince me that this is what happened.
Yeah.
And what people in the league are saying is like, if I'm convinced that this happened and the league doesn't actually do anything about it because they can't prove it, then it's just going to be open season on cheating.
Right.
Then, like, I had somebody say to me, like, oh, if the Clippers don't get penalized in any consequential way for all of this, then the first thing that we're doing is creating a shell corporation to pay guys.
No.
Wow.
Like,
yeah.
Like, but why not? And I'm sure that's what every team.
Right.
That's what every team is doing.
Well, it also raises a question of like, who else has already figured that out, right? Like we don't know, but it stands to reason if one billionaire came up with this, then, and not saying he did, of course, evidence, they're doing the investigation or blah, blah, blah. But it's pretty fascinating. It almost, I don't know, it doesn't really remind me of this, but it's like the sign stealing at Michigan.
I was just going to say that. Oh, I was going to say that. Yes, I really was. Yeah. I should have written it down because I swear I was really going to say that.
Say it. You take it away.
Well, it just reminds me of that Charlotte and I have talked about it. We're like, is this illegal? The sign stealing, like, well, it happens kind of. We were talking about, like, when I went to my first press box, we were sitting next to some guy. What was he doing? An advanced scouting report? I don't even know what it was at a football game. What's it called?
Fred, actually, this is a huge deal. Madeline sat in her first press box.
Yes.
At
a Bills game.
NFL game. It was really great.
Very exciting.
No, there was a guy doing advanced scouting on the Patriots from another team, looking at what they're going to have to deal with. Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, is this kind of like the way around? Like, it felt energetically. He wasn't doing this, but it felt like sign steal. Like, I was like, how is this? What's going on here? And then when all that stuff happened at Michigan, I was like, okay, well, they had to get in trouble for this, but also you're like, well, probably these other teams are doing it. Like, they can't. Michigan's not the only one who was stealing signs. And it did remind. Was that what you were going to say, Charlotte? That's what it just reminds me of that and the consequences there.
Absolutely, it's one of those things where it's hard not to think if this is being done one place. It makes you think about all of the things happening in professional sports that we don't know about, I guess. It opens a Pandora's box of like, oh man, what is actually going on beneath the surface, which is what makes it so fascinating and has the league on edge.
And the reason we found out about this was because Aspiration went bankrupt and they had to file for bankruptcy. So all of those filings become public, and then Pablo and his team pour through everything, and they find this information. If Aspiration doesn't declare bankruptcy, then maybe we never see this,
Right.
So, I've wondered the exact same thing. I will say, based on the reaction that I've gotten in the league, and this is like across the board, for the most part, based on the reaction I've gotten in the league, I don't think it's... My first reaction when it happened was like, God, I wonder how many teams are doing this. I wonder how many teams... Is this way more prominent than I ever realized? Because especially as a sports writer, you go to like I think a lot about... I'm a huge baseball fan, and I think a lot about like, oh, if I were an MLB writer in like 2002... and was just writing about like Barry Bonds being the greatest ever and Mark McGwire breaking the home run record a few years earlier and Sammy Sosa just going from like a dude who could hit a home run to just an epic home run hitter, and Jose Canseco was just like literally bending over in front of me and injecting shots in his ass, like and I was just like I was just writing about it as if it was all happening. I was just totally unaware. And this, by the way, was basically every single writer at that time. So I'm not impugning any of them. But like, as all of that came out, they probably look back on that and are like, we dropped the ball somewhere. Like, look how rampant this stuff was. Holy crap. How did we not get this? We dropped the ball. Like, how did we not get this? And so your antenna as a reporter is always up, is like the first thing you think is, oh, okay, how prevalent is this? Is everyone doing this? Oh my goodness, did we drop the ball and everyone's doing this? And I will say, at least based on the reaction that I've gotten from the league, people are different degrees of dismayed. Some people are just absolutely furious. Some people are furious only if it's proven. Some people are angry, but they're not losing sleep, but they think it's really wrong and they don't like it. But the reaction around the league, there hasn't really been anyone who's like poo-pooed it to me. And you'd think if you were doing the same, that someone would be like, it's actually not as big of a deal, and here's why. Someone would justify it in their own, perverse kind of way. And I haven't really gotten that reaction like at all. And I've just spoken to so many people about it, and everyone's reaction is just kind of like, this is really bad. If it's true, this is really bad.
It's like if your friend, if you know that your friend is cheating on their significant other, and you bring it up to someone else, and they're like, it's really not that. It's not that big of a deal. You're like, what are you?
You're like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Right. 100%. You snuff it out.
Oh man. Well, Madeline, why don't you take us home here?
Oh, our last question. We ask all of our guests this. What is your favorite piece of sports gossip of all time? It can be in any sport and at any point in sports history.
My favorite piece of sports gossip of all time. Oh, I hope I get the details of this right. Because,
it's okay. When we had Scott Hansen on from Red Zone, he got the guy's name wrong, and Scott never gets anything wrong. So if you get anything wrong, don't feel bad about it.
So speaking of steroids, when Alex Rodriguez was going through the whole steroid thing,
Alex Rodriguez, former great player for the Yankees, currently is he still an analyst for Fox? Yeah.
And J-Lo's ex.
Yes.
J-Lo's ex.
Yes. More importantly,
must add that in. Sports gossip detail.
Cameron Diaz's ex.
Yes. Oh my God, I forgot about that.
And he's the owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yes.
That's right. There's an NBA tie-in here.
Yes, there is. But this is not an NBA story. But when
Beautiful.
A-Rod tested positive for steroids twice and was suspended twice. And they were going through it was a whole thing because he was the star of his generation. And his cousin, it was like a distant cousin, I believe his name was Yuri Sukar. For some reason, I remember that name.
Wow.
Had helped him procure the steroids.
Okay.
What?
And they were they had subpoenaed Yuri Sukar to talk. And as an intimidation method, A-Rod allegedly went to Yuri Sukar's home and urinated on his living room rug.
No. Oh my God.
What?
That's according to I think the
Are
New
you
York
kidding me?
Post wrote that. No, I'm not.
This episode started
With breast milk.
And ended with urinating on a rug.
Is that not outrageous?
That's
That is-
incredible.
Is he a dog?
That is wild. That is wild. Wow. I did not know that story. Oh my God.
I didn't either, but you better believe I know what I'm doing when I get off of it. I'm going to go Google the heck out of that.
Wow.
It's good gossip.
Oh my
Really
God. That's
good.
amazing.
It's good gossip.
Fred, unfortunately, you're going to have to come back because
Can I tell my other? Can I tell my other?
Please.
In the early 1970s, two Yankees players, Fritz Peterson, and I forget the name of the other guy, not only swapped wives, but swapped entire families, including dogs.
What?
Yes, true story.
That's like the OG wife swap.
That is.
Oh my God.
Why doesn't stuff like that happen today? We would have a field day. Are
Or
you
it doesn't.
kidding
We
me?
don't know.
Well,
It's unbelievable. You guys need to do an expose into where are they now?
Oh,
Yes.
Yes.
We
okay.
actually we do
do
need to
that.
do some. You know what we should do? Actually, let's just turn this into a production meeting real quick. Madeline, we should take the favorite stories that our guests have given us and do deep dives into those.
Yes.
Once they've told us.
Yes. Great idea. Great idea.
Great. Cool.
I'll
All
save
right.
it for our production meeting.
Ta-da. Fred, thank you so much. Truly, you do such great work. Everybody needs to follow you. Where can they find you on the internet?
You can follow me on Twitter at Fred Katz. You can read my stuff on The Athletic. You can subscribe to my podcast, which is called Katz and Shoot. Thank you for reminding me. I forgot the name.
Yep, I got you.
Patreon.com/Katz and Shoot. You can sign up there. And that's it. Otherwise, my best advice would be just avoid me.
No,
stay
don't.
away.
It's great. Fred, thank you so much. Always a pleasure, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Fred. I loved that conversation with Fred. It truly was so unhinged.
No,
but also so on brand.
It
for
was.
the show.
It felt. I was like, oh, you do listen, Fred.
Yes,
you do listen.
Oh,
to the
he
show.
listens.
I meant what I said when like we could have ended it after the first 5 minutes because he came in with so. But like that's what we want to know. That's what we want to know, and that's what I think what makes watching sports so much fun is that when you watch the Knicks and you see Josh Hart out there, you're like, you are a little freak.
Yeah,
and I like it.
Yeah.
You know, you just know.
Now you know these fun facts.
It also makes them more human.
Yeah.
It's like we're weirdos. They're weirdos in professional sports too.
Yeah, exactly. Different type of weirdos.
Yeah, well, weirdos with money. We're weirdos without it.
Yeah.
Little less glamorous.
Little less glamorous. No, I loved that conversation. I really hope he comes back because I was like, wait, I need to know how Fred would start every episode with us. Like, what is he going to open with next time we have him on the show?
He low-key kind of broke some news when we were talking about the Kawhi stuff, and he said he talked to someone in the league who said if the Clippers aren't punished for this, they're immediately going to start a shell company.
Yeah.
We should clip that.
Clip it.
We should probably clip that.
Note to self as social media admin. Clipping it.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you, Madeline. Thank you, Fred.
Yes. No, thank you so much, Fred, for coming on. It really was amazing. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Sports Gossip Show on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram at Sports Gossip, TikTok at Sports Gossip Show. Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Really makes a huge difference. I say it every week, but it really does make a huge difference.
When you rattle that off, crisp.
I need to get that on a shirt.
Yeah,
you know, like the Nicole Kidman, I come to the movies for magic speech. I need that, but as my rundown for promoting the show.
We'll put shareholder on the front.
Yes, I love it.
Anyway, thanks for shareholders.
Thank you, shareholders, for listening and watching. It really is just so lovely every time I see a new view. I know on the YouTube. I'm like, someone's watching.
Thank you.
Oh, it's so nice.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.